Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Rodeo Time, the podcast. We've got two-time NFR rodeo cowboy, saddle bronc rider extraordinaire, Mr. Dawson Hay in the house, along with Donnie Ray Daytona.
Sorry, I don't have my sound effects set up on my phone.
Two-time Winnebago Arena champion.
Yeah. No competition.
Right.
Yeah.
So Logan reached out to me about the school, about getting...
you mean Lefty?
Lefty, not Logan. Sorry. Reached out to me about getting him to the Veeder school. I feel like, based on my conversation with Lefty, it had something to do with his buck-offs in the show. Did you and Lefty talk about that?
Yeah, we looked at that and...
Got to get this kid some help.
It wasn't that. Actually, when we were putting on the school, there was a couple people that commented on the posts.
Oh,
and it was
really?
Like, Donnie Daytona needs to head over there. And we were like, dang, that would be cool. And
Gotcha.
So I was like, well, we get a hold of him and get him on out here. And and them
hilarious.
kids were so, I thought, all these kids would be excited to meet me and Lefty and, be excited about this Bronx school. They're like, dude, that's Leroy and Donnie Daytona.
Yeah. People ask me about, like, if the show was scripted. And don't get me wrong, there were a few parts where obviously, we're trotting through a field, there's 9 cameras, and my mom calls me and, the music stops, where yes, that was scripted. But like, once you watch one of Donnie's buck-offs, you realize, like, there ain't no plan in that. Like,
There's no plan in that. No.
yeah.
That would be hard if it was planned.
Yeah.
I'd feel bad.
Yeah. Flying through the air. This is not good. Yeah.
I feel you, though, because I took a lot of those same buck-offs.
Yeah.
They were always nasty when I started, sitting on a foot, dropping your rein, and then it's front flip city.
Yeah.
And we talk about this later in the podcast, but they were practice horses from Stace that, he didn't want to sell because they were just on the
We talked about
fence
that
about
yesterday.
it. Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. But inevitably, I think the one buck off you got on, it was like a painted feather colt named Bay Feathers.
Yeah.
And you got on him. I can't remember. I think we called him Burrito.
Yeah.
But we just hung the flank on him.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even pull the flank. And when we do that on that horse, typically he would just crow hop around there.
Yeah.
Except for during that show.
Yeah, he freaking
jumped
licked it.
and kicked the lights out like he was come out of some yellow bucking shoots.
I swear, though, certain people bring it out in the horses. Like, there'll be horses at them schools that, usually lope off, and then there'll be some kid that we're trying to get to the pickup man, and this thing will kick the lights out all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And when I was starting, it was kind of that way for me. Like, every time I'd go to get on a nice one at a practice or something, it'd end up just bucking
Yeah.
through. And being a littler guy, I mean, they definitely do buck a little harder for us. But yeah, I've noticed that watching the show and all your rides, you seem to bring the best out in them.
Yeah, I've been told.
Stock contractor's best friend right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Good guy to have at your futurities.
yeah. Obviously, we talk a lot about rodeo. We are at the NFR right now. It's day 6. Today will be the 6th round. And right now we're at the Mirage where Dawson and Donnie and myself are all staying. So if you find yourself out here for 2022, then you need to stay at the Mirage. So that's where the party's at. It seems like over the years, and I'm sure you've seen it too, like being out here with your dad and all that, like there's really like places where like it'll go through waves of like, where's the party?
It's always at the Mirage.
And it's at the, and specific and also like these last couple of years, like it's the Mirage. Like and don't get me wrong, there's cowboy hats all over Vegas during the NFR, but like specifically like where are the most, and you'll see like a lot of past world champions show up and some legends show up and Dale Brisby and it's at the Mirage right now. So anyway.
Good music, good drinks, and a good time.
It is a plug, but it's also true. So, and that's what makes a good plug.
Yeah.
Is when it's true.
That's right.
Well, we're going to get on to the podcast. I hope you enjoy rodeo and bronc riding because that's what we talk about. We've slowly upgraded our equipment.
Yeah, that the podcast that we were doing, me and Lefty, it's kind of been a work in progress as well.
Yeah.
Thanks to Lefty, I haven't really done a whole lot, to be honest. It's his podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Sometimes like we've had less people complaining when we mess up, don't record, and we have to use the camera audio. Like our last little like podcast mixer thing, it was wild. Like I feel like that one with William Clark Green, remember?
Yeah.
Like nobody complained about our sound.
Yeah.
Because we forgot to, I hit record and it just, I guess the SD card corrupted. And then so we just had to use the audio off of those and it kind of sucked. And
there's been some major malfunctions. Yeah. Usually it's like with really good guests too.
Yeah.
Ours kept like ringing real loud when the mics got too close to the earpieces.
Yeah.
It takes some fine tuning.
Well, I mean, we're cowboys, so
yeah,
we're having to learn how to be sound guys. But
yeah.
Of course, Rump Chat, I guess they probably never have that problem because they got a sound guy as one of their top two.
Yeah, that's what Hambone does.
Right.
I highly doubt. Yeah, I highly doubt that Rump did any of the figuring out there.
Yeah, that's a safe assumption, I would say. Round number 6. So Donnie and I, confession, we walked up last night during round number 5, just enough time to see your score because I went into the high limit room to play and got on a heater and played 3 hands.
I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing.
But how's it been for you?
It's been a slow start. I had some higher expectations for the first 5 rounds. I think I started out real good on the first horse. Just was a little weak for that pen. Round 2, I ended up getting a re-ride and got on a horse called Double D, one I'd won Clovis on, and just kind of got run out the back. Almost kicked a stirrup off and kind of just salvaged a ride together for, I think I was 81.5 or something.
Yeah.
Round 3, the E-Pen, Miss Ellie, just a big, strong sucker.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have seen him a bunch throughout the years and kind of coming around. Left reiners get along with her a little better, but in a right reiner, she dives you into that outside stirrup and just bucked me off before the whistle. Round 4, we did, I think I was 84.5. I had a pretty good ride, I thought, but just kind of same thing, just not quite enough for a check. And then last night, that Toma Joe, that horse of high lows, I got on him actually in the E-Pen in 2019, and she got me down, but just run me out of my stuff a little bit. I think I'm just not lifting like I need to be, but I'm going to put all that behind me, and we're going to go. We got 5 more rounds.
Man, I was going to say, I mean, I know maybe you're your own worst critic, but like I was going to say after, I can vividly remember the first ride from this, and then I think it was the second and fourth. But anyway, I just remember thinking that you looked like you felt good, like throughout it. And then there were a couple of rounds where you just had a weaker type horse.
Yeah,
but
I don't feel like I'm riding terrible.
Right.
I'm waiting on that matchup, and I think a guy can get on a heater around here. I'm just gonna pretend this is round number 1, and
well, it kind of is, right?
Yeah. Realistically, the pens are, the same pens, just starting right over again.
Yep. Yeah. So
and then them couple draws a guy maybe wasn't too happy about. You don't have a chance to get on them again.
Right.
So
how many guys have ridden all 5?
Well, Brody I think has got 5 covered. Zeke's got 5 covered. I think Chase Brooks maybe.
Yeah.
Well, Brody fell off one, but he didn't nod. He looked at the whoever was helping him on and said, pull the head around.
Yeah.
Or he asked him if he wanted to pull his head around, and he was under his rein, and he said, yeah, pull it around, but it looked like a nod.
Yeah, and then
it surely wasn't.
Yeah. No, that That's a sick feeling too when they open the gate a little early on you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's not really the horse you want to do it on. That's that Bridwell horse. Sorry, it's early in the morning. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here, but
yeah. Well, somebody else's draw. A little easy to remember your own.
Yeah.
So, but tonight you got a good one.
Yeah, Palindrome. I got to get on that horse at Cheyenne this year. Just takes a bunch of rein, kind of flat, but will kind of fade out there, and just a really good horse. One they placed on in the first round, so if I do my stuff right, we should be good for a check tonight, hopefully.
Are y'all hot?
It was a little hot in here earlier.
Will you crank that AC down a little bit, a few notches? That's over here on this wall by this light. Yes, sir. I'm trying to make it comfortable for my guests.
I haven't figured out the one in my room. I've been sweating my ass off this whole time.
Did you, is it third NFR?
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
Did you stay at Mirage last time?
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
Vegas.
It's the best place to stay.
Yeah. It's definitely the after party to be at.
Oh, for sure. I mean, who can complain about going and watching a badass concert
For free.
for free?
Yeah.
Drinks free.
Right.
And then, if you're lucky enough, you win a saddle.
Yeah.
Every night you get to go in and draw for a saddle. I got it last night.
Did you really?
I did.
Nice.
I went up to him right after. I was like, "Can I borrow that?"
Do you plan on riding it?
I was thinking I might ride it in the Grand Entry tonight.
Oh, dang, already. I love that.
So. I don't know, though. I said I was going to do that last night, but as you've seen in the last few rounds, the horses are getting a little sketchy out there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a squeaky little bugger.
What happened last night?
Well, for one, I didn't see Wade's wreck, but Colby's horse, it seems like them horses get like all tightened up when they do the tip of the resistol, and then everyone starts cheering. Everyone's horses are starting to really back up a bunch. Colby went to kick his horse up, and he just went faster backwards. And then he reared up and kind of spun around as Texas is coming through. 28 strong, or what is it?
Yeah, a bunch.
Yeah, no. But they're coming running through, and as soon as he landed, he kind of got T-boned, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But Wade's horse was just hauling ass down the center, and then took kind of a little stutter step, and then kind of overkicked.
Yeah,
he did a front flip right on his back.
Yeah, kind of hurt him.
He's not in great shape right now. He's at the hospital getting a CAT scan.
Oh, is he really?
Dang.
Yeah, no, he was a sore bugger. He jumped up pretty quick, but
right. Yeah, because it's Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks sore. He looks sore.
When he's getting around like he's pretty sore, it's probably something's wrong.
Right. Yeah. Him and JB.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been helping the bull rider some.
Yeah, I mean, I got some sore ribs and a pretty dang sore neck and hip, and pulling them ropes doesn't help a whole lot.
Yeah, some of them want it tight.
Yeah.
Me and Clayton always trade help, though.
Yeah.
It seems like the bull ropes are getting harder and harder to pull these days.
Yeah.
Everyone needs it way too tight.
Yeah, and then they back it off.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
You're about there to have a brain aneurysm, about to blow a gasket, and then they grab it and take it off about 6 inches.
Right. Yeah. 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 Thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like your first NFR, having been here, like watching your dad?
I mean, I got a lot of great childhood memories watching my dad out here. It was always a goal of mine to be out here myself, and now my dad's watching me here, and
right.
You know, he just loves it. It's something, you know, you should just see Roddy light up now. He don't mind sitting out in the stands at all watching it. He said it's a totally different experience, you know.
Right.
Riding there and then actually watch, because he never really would have.
Right.
Until I got here, I guess in 2019. But yeah, shoot, he's super excited. But growing up, me and my little brother and the Wright kids, we were always, you know, a lot of times we get dropped off. There's a daycare at the Thomas and Mack. And, like, you wouldn't think you'd want to go to the daycare. You'd want to go watch the rodeo. No. Me and Stetson, we'd be playing bucking bulls, throwing shit and raising hell over there in the daycare. And I'll be like, Mom's like, well, I'll sell your tickets if you guys want to go on the daycare. That's plumb fine.
Hilarious.
Then they come grab you when your dad's riding.
Yeah.
And then we'd watch the bronc riding and then back to playing bucking bulls. And
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Who else was in it? You
I remember Stetson was always in there. Statler. Ryder never came a whole lot. Ryder and Rusty, they usually went to the perf.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me, like, knowing those two now, you know, like Ryder, how he's, you know, pretty serious and just like focused.
It's not that he's really serious. He's just pretty quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And serious.
Yeah.
I'll say Rusty's the most serious out of all of them.
Yeah.
He can be pretty intense.
Yeah. He was on yesterday.
Rusty?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rusty and Statler came by. So we got to talking about all things rodeo. And I'm really curious. So, like, I've been up to Canada once.
Mm-hmm.
How is it juggling, like, going back and forth?
The last couple of years we haven't been able to go back quite as much because of the pandemic and whatnot, but it makes for some longer drives. But I love them Canadian rodeos. It's nice for us to be able to go home in the springtime and hit 5 or 6, and then come back in July.
Yeah,
we'll be going back and forth. On a normal year, it's really not that bad. We got enough Canadians going that a lot of guys are making the trip. But it's been harder lately. You getting the tests and then waiting on the results. Then the border's always been a pain lately. You got to go inside pretty well every time, and then coming back now they've got it, so you got to test to come back as well. And then it's kind of the same thing on that side of the border. Plus the tests are like $150 each time. Wow. So
right.
I mean, hopefully you can make it work winning up there. But it's the Canadian finals are something that I really like to go to every year. It's awesome. You get to see some horses. Like, I think I don't know how many horses Calgary Stampede's got down here this year, but they buck them all at the Canadian finals. You get a chance to look at everything. Mox has got their horses out, Outlaws, Volds.
Yep.
C5, and they put trips on all their NFR horses up there, and a guy gets a chance to sharpen up on 6 head, and it's always a goal of mine.
And they're in November.
They're the first week in November. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what down here. It's like there's just nothing in Texas. Down here in Texas, there's like nothing in November, and guys got to go to practice pens, but like. Because our circuit finals is until January.
Yeah.
It's like, unless you're flying to Brawley, you just got to go to a practice pen. But anyways, that's neat to get on like some buckers in November.
It is. It's a good chance for everyone to tune up a little bit.
Yeah. So you guys have like a little compound going in California now. Like Lefty is just doing some recruiting. Huh?
Oh, geez. Lefty's family anyways.
Yeah. Jeez.
He's got some pretty girls in his family.
You got Clayton moving up there, and you said you bought a house over there?
Yeah, me, Clayton, Dakota Eldridge.
Yeah.
He moved over there. Clayton Bigelow's always been over there. But,
right.
All in the family.
And y'all hang out at Veeder?
Yeah,
Veeder's place.
George Veeder, awesome place to practice. I mean, we've been truly blessed to be able to go out there. He's done so much for this sport in California.
Yeah.
Fresno State, they usually practice all their guys out there, and he's given an opportunity for the people surrounding there that kind of want to get into rodeo that don't have a real great place to get on, and they usually do weekly practices. And then Ming, the guy behind the camera, he's got it where he slows down them videos, and it makes it so much easier to learn, especially when you're just starting out. Like, you can kind of pick apart a ride watching it, but you see it in slow-mo, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
He's like a ghost, dude. This guy, like, he runs beside every single bronc, and you don't even know he's there. Like, I remember watching from the back of the bucket chutes, and I was trying to pay attention and like see what he's doing, and I just got caught watching the ride, and I was like, where is he? Like, how does he? But he's right, man. Like, the way he shoots it and slows it down, like, you can dissect stuff. Like, if you're not lifting or doing something wrong, you see it right away, and it's awesome.
He it's funny because like you said, you don't ever see him, but sometimes he'll dang near about get ran over. He'll be cutting across right in front of your horse, getting the best shot, and he's got his own style. He's like, the cowboy attire is not really me. I'm gonna have a mohawk. I'm gonna have usually a sports team shirt on, and he's got his little shorts on everywhere.
Yeah.
It was freezing up in Twin Falls, and he did a videoed Mitch Pollock's bronc match. Everyone's like dressed up in their coats, and I was freezing my butt off. Mang's just out there, trotting around in his t-shirt, trying to get run over.
That's like, what's it like ranching in the cold? I just can't find myself enjoying that for an extended period of time. You guys, it's like most of the year, right?
Well, it's kind of like November to April, May.
Yeah.
But the snow usually kind of really sets in December, and then it just depends on the year how long it stays. But you wouldn't believe it. It's not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
The cold up there, like, it will get, minus 40, but it's not the same because the wind's not really blowing ever in the middle of the bush, and it's not like a wet cold.
Right.
When it gets miserable down in Texas, that's the coldest I've ever been. Because that wet cold and the wind cuts right through you. But the snow, I mean, it's trickier for sure. I mean, you're throwing straw out every day for your cows when it's snowing and feeding out in the snow. But it's really, you pin up your cows a little closer to home, and it's not all that bad.
I can see that.
You'll have to come out and do it one of these days.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I've been like on ski trips and stuff where, there's no wind on one side of the mountain, and you get warm, especially when you're moving. But I just, like, even when I was a kid, I remember my dad, like, just cursing doctor and wheat pasture cattle. And then sure enough, there was a year in my life where that's what I did for a living. And I've just, like, we buried my dad. Like, when we buried him, he was like, we put long handles under his, Canadian tuxedo just because, like, that's what he wore, like, 8 months out of the year, even in Texas, because he hated the cold. And I followed suit, and I just, anyways, so there's some days out there, like in a wheat pasture, when that wind is pushing through, and it doesn't matter what you're wearing. Yeah. But that's true, though. Like, those days when, like, there's no wind, it just doesn't. As long as you're moving. Yeah,
as long as you're moving. And don't get me wrong, it is dang cold for sure. But like I said, you usually can dress for it a little better.
Yeah.
Except for your face. Your face is always going to be cold. You get back, and when it's that cold and you can't even talk, your lips are so cold that it's funny when everyone comes in for lunch or something and they're talking, it looks like they had a stroke or something because their face doesn't get your words out, but you can't move your face really.
Did I guess most of your rodeos in the spring, I guess, and summer up there rather than just like in the cold, or they'd be indoor?
They don't really have any rodeos in the wintertime.
Really?
They start up in April-ish usually. Yeah. There used to be one in March, but the spring run, for the most part, is all indoors anyways, too, until you get into, like, June is when they start having some outdoor rodeos. It's just too wet once all that snow melts.
Yeah. And then you guys try to calve, like, around May, I imagine, or April?
Yeah, lots of guys will calve earlier,
really?
Like February, but you need to have a big barn set up. We usually calve mid-April. And that's late. That's late, actually, for most people up there. But we've seen you don't lose near as many, and it sucks treating out there in the snow.
Yeah,
trying to pull some drugs out of them damn things when it's that cold. It's like
Right.
It don't work very
That stuff
good.
comes out real slow.
Then you got one, and you're trying to stick them, and it takes freaking 3 minutes to get
to get that stuff through. Especially if it's like, you ever use like res floor, that stuff?
Res floor is the thickest.
It's slow whenever it's warm.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine whenever it's that cold up there.
Yeah, you got to keep it in the truck.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess calving out heifers can get real tricky. Because you got to do it at some point up there. Somebody does.
Yeah, I mean, we usually calve out about 40-ish, 50.
Yeah.
Some years we calve more, some less. It's usually a pain. The 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know, we fed too much silage, and I think we had a tough bull, but we pulled every single one of our heifers.
Dang.
In the miserable cold.
Wow.
I think there might have been like 1 or 2 that we didn't, and then the rest we just ended up bringing them all in, and then
just watching them every day.
And they
got ridiculous on you.
It was terrible.
Dang.
Pulled every single one of them in the cold.
We had some heifers we calved out like, it's been 7 or 8 years ago, and we kind of had hell with them and lost a few, and we just really like said we were never going to do it again. And for the last 3 or 4 years, I've had like some yearling heifers that just I felt like look really good, and I keep threatening to do it, and I think this year is the year. Like I feel like I'm going to do it this year because I got this little Corini bull that a guy gave me just to buck, and he's like a big roping steer. And so I think he'll be perfect. Like, let them calves just slip through.
Just drop right out of them.
Hopefully.
It don't even matter if they're backwards.
They just sneeze.
Yeah.
And then he's out. So I'm going to do it too. And I think it'll be neat to like have interns, like put it, interns in charge of watching them.
Oh, yeah.
And then I don't have to go out there at 2 a.m.
Yeah, you're lucky with that.
Yeah. But have you seen our fence?
No.
So I got this, just around my pens in my house, I had a buddy put in like a top rail pipe. So it's like post every 12 feet and then a top rail pipe and then slick wire.
Okay.
And I don't know, some people, because I got a bunch of horses and there'll be horses around there, I didn't want barbed wire. And I know there's a lot of people that are okay with it, but I just thought, sure as a world, if a horse ever cuts himself on barbed wire, it's going to be booned. And, so I might as well put in slick wire. But then I put in.
It'll be your best horse, guaranteed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Guaranteed.
So I was like, I'll put in these stays and then they'll, really deter them. And first I did 6. So it's like between, 12 feet. And then I was like, well, let's look at 8. And then I was like, oh, let's look at 10. And so it's like every 12 inches, there's a post now. It's like 3,000 foot of fence.
Oh, no shit.
And my buddy was like, hey, it would make them posts really stout instead of cutting them off with a chainsaw so they'll fit under that pipe. Just bury them. So I got these interns every 12 inches burying a cedar stay, however long the post is. So sometimes it's 7 inches, sometimes it's like 17 inches, but which isn't that deep for a post hole.
But
when there's 3,000 of them, yeah. But
I'm glad I'm not interning over there.
They wanna learn to be a cowboy.
I guess that'll do it. That might teach them not to be a cowboy.
Yeah, deter a few of them.
I'm going home. All I did when I went to Radiator Ranch was dig post holes and send cedar.
Yeah, they know how to do it. They know how to do it too.
Yeah.
But my deal is like, there's little tasks that I just don't. It's still a ranch task, but like I don't feel good making them do it. For instance, I got this big burn barrel where we'll burn feed sacks.
Yeah.
But every year and a half, you got to clean it out, get all that ash out. And I personally just don't feel, it's not satisfying for me to ask the interns to clean that out. That job sucks. It's not super ranch related, but the cedar stays, zero remorse.
Yeah.
I was like, no remorse. Like, you guys sent in a video, you came to Texas, you want to be a rancher, and as many stays as I had to tie in as a kid, like double it, come around, right on the left, or left over right, twist it. Like, it's okay for you to learn that. And a post hole digger.
Every single one of them like every video ever. I'll fix fan. Like that's
Yeah,
what they
that's
say.
one of the
That's
things they
thing
say.
that everybody says.
Exactly. Glad you brought that up, Donnie. Yeah. So I don't feel bad.
My dad was growing up. He had no remorse. If there was a job like that, it was the first for me or Logan. Usually I seem to be getting in more trouble than him, and I would usually get the worst jobs. And then, but yeah, no, it didn't matter what it was. I don't think while we were home, Roddy ever shoveled out a trailer one time.
Oh my gosh.
No. But he.
What little interaction I've had with him like doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I think he's like, these kids are finally old enough to take care of all the shitty jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
Cutting twines, I'll say that sucks in the cold. Cutting twines, because you guys don't feed a whole lot of round bales, huh? It's mostly square. Yeah.
Well, we don't. There's where I'm at. Like, guys don't feed a lot of hay at all.
Yeah.
Just in the wintertime.
Yeah.
For on the bigger places, like like those bigger ranches, like you put out protein. And that's about it. And then they try to kind of clean up, what's left. But.
Yeah. No, we feed from November throughout till June.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But yeah, trying to pull them twines off when they get frozen up.
Yeah.
Your fingers are freezing. And you can't get the twines out of the big round bales with your gloves on.
No,
so you got to take your
take
gloves
them
off
off.
and you're sitting there digging.
Yeah. Was
Get
there
one out.
any specific job that you had more than maybe like Logan or something? Like, for instance, I was always charged with backing up the trailer. My sister and brother never had to, and then I got good at it, so it was just like, no, you go do it, And so
Logan's a little older than me, so he would seem to always be able to get to go on the tractor, and I would be the one out on the front lines.
Gotcha. Out on the front line.
In the trenches.
In the trenches.
Yeah.
Getting snowed in. But yeah, I'm trying to think. It really depended on who had ticked off Roddy more that day.
Yeah.
So we went back and forth. We never really did have certain jobs. He's really good at wrecking tractors.
Yep.
And wrecking machines and flipping over the bale buster and stuff. But so I'd say once we got a little older, maybe I got to do. Well, no, I never really did. He's
How long have you called your dad Roddy?
Yeah, I love that.
I do too. It's hilarious.
As long as I can remember. I don't know. Probably, I guess. No, when I was probably 12 or 13 when we started.
That's hilarious.
No, probably before that. But my grandpa, we call my grandpa Fred.
Yeah.
My dad calls him Fred. I call him Fred. It's Mum and Fred for Roddy, and it's Mum and
That's
Mum
hilarious.
and
Most
Roddy.
time,
or,
like, when-
or I'll say Rick. I call him Rick sometimes.
When kids like call their parents by their first name, you're like, dang, that's disrespectful. But when them guys do it, it's just like, that's awesome. I don't know.
No, I think it's hilarious.
I think
I love
it is
it.
too. Like I don't know. It's just awesome.
I've always thought that was funny, especially like when a little girl calls her mom by her mom's name.
Yeah.
That's funny to me.
That's funny. I don't know. Like, I think my dad always calling his dad Fred. It just kind of always it never bothered him.
It seemed
But
kosher to you.
Sometimes I'll be telling a story about Roddy, and who's Roddy? I'm like, oh, my dad.
That's my dad.
Why you call him Roddy?
That's his name.
That's his name.
Yeah.
It's actually Roderick.
Yeah.
Seeing you guys, all you guys at that school and like at that the bronc match that Saturday, you guys just have a really cool relationship, like through the sport and everything, and it was fun to watch. Just all you guys, like Devin getting on and stuff. That was cool, man. That was really cool to see.
He's I don't know if there's a guy in the world that loves bronc riding more than Roddy.
Yeah,
He's passionate about it. He says he still has dreams about it all the time.
Yeah,
like getting on, and it was unfortunate when he did end his career there when he broke that leg off, but he got to ride till he was 42 years old. That's pretty old for our sport.
Yep.
And but to this day, I mean, he still lives and breathes bronc riding.
Was that 12 or 13?
It was 2010.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, he had won.
And
He
then
won
Jesse
Houston that
stepped in.
year. Yeah, and then he'd had a really good spring. I think it was in June when he hurt hurt his leg there, and he still ended up making the finals.
Right.
But yeah, Jesse stepped in for him and had a really good finals actually.
Yeah.
But no, he never could get it healed up, but he can never bend his leg past a 90 degree.
Oh, dang.
His femur was in 37 pieces. Wow. Yeah. And the tough old bugger walked out, or kind of drug a leg out of there, but got up and got out, went to his camper, slept all night. He said he thought he blew his knee out real bad. And he's like, surely I'll go get an MRI here in a couple days, and that's probably what they'll say. But then they took an MRI, and yeah, 37 pieces. They had to take a third of the bottom of it out because they were in such little pieces.
Golly.
Yeah, and then when it healed like or all bowed out. He was walking all bow-legged. So then they had to do another surgery where they broke it in 2 different places and then put a cadaver bone in. And then I think he ended up having like 4 or 5 surgeries on it.
Golly.
But he was committed. He was going to ride at the finals that year. I remember he'd lay on the floor at the house, and it killed him because we had to break all that scar tissue out.
Yeah.
Because at the start, he couldn't bend it at all, barely.
Yeah.
And then we just work on it all day, or 2 or 3 times a day, trying to push that scar tissue out. We got her back to about 90 degrees, and then he went to the hospital, and he's like, or not the hospital, he went to his surgeon, and he's like, I need you to like put me under, break the rest of this out. I can't ride with it at 90 degrees. And so they did, and they tried, and when he got up, they're like, we can't, it'll break your leg again if we push it any farther.
Wow.
So I was borderline breaking Roddy's leg every night at the house.
Dang.
Break it, Pepe Le Pew.
He'd just be sitting there bared down. I knew it hurt, but I was like, damn.
Somebody probably made the joke, well, you're never going to sit on that foot.
Yeah. you better not anyway.
Yeah.
I heard a story that the only time Rusty said he'd ever sat on a foot, he broke his leg.
Dang. I remember him breaking his leg. Wasn't it like in the last few years when he was kind of going?
No, this was, I think, when he was younger. When he broke
Gotcha.
it that first time. Or maybe he's broke it a couple times, I think. Maybe. But yeah, them guys, the way they ride, so far back under their rein, you rarely ever see one of them. Stetson, maybe.
Kind of last night.
Stetson's
that last jump.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He actually did sit on a foot, didn't he?
It scraped the cannel for sure.
No, it was in there.
Yeah. It was dangerous too, because obviously you saw the buck off.
Yeah.
That's one
he
of those.
Got kicked.
That horse, I don't know. If it had stayed in his seat, he would have been in the stands. I feel like that would have launched him.
Oh, guaranteed. Right between the ears. That's a hopeless feeling, isn't it?
Oh man,
I'm
flying through the air is not good.
Well, when they both come in your saddle and they're not coming out.
Yeah.
The only route out is right between their ears, and then you're right in front of them.
It's just prayer.
Yeah, it is.
It's just
Jesus take the wheel.
Jesus take the rein. Yeah, it is a hopeless feeling. I think
take the rein.
Yeah, I think I'm probably most nervous if I find myself still on a horse without a rein.
Yeah, that's a terrible feeling.
That's pretty scary,
especially because your rein's running out in front of them now.
Yeah,
and you're still on. Yeah, that's kind of your lifeline in the bronc riding.
And then just the thought of him stepping on that rein just terrifies me.
I usually just bail. I don't have.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But you'll see some guys like Zeke. Zeke will just. I've seen him lose his rein a couple times. Go ahead and just bear down on them swells.
Yeah.
That looks worse than just taking taking the dragon.
Yeah. We talked yesterday. I'm curious. Do you run a finger through?
I don't. It's actually a funny story. I used to.
Yeah.
And my dad always told me, if you can't hold on to your damn rein, you're not going to make a good bronc rider. And most people do. He told me that, and whether it's true or not, I don't think so. But I was running my hand through everything, and I was actually getting on at a rodeo up in Lethbridge, and you got on for 3 days, and then the short round was the last day, and nobody got paid until the last day. And then the short round, there's 4 guys in it, and only 1 guy got paid out of it, and it was $10,000. And I think I just turned 18. I was broke. I needed some money.
Right.
I was thinking that 10 grand would look nice, and I rode with my hand in my rein all 3 before that. Short round, Roddy's like, I'm not helping you on if you do that. And I was like, come on, Roddy. And anyways, this horse at Kessler's, paint horse called Sugar and Spice, goes out there, and he'd like bury it for 2, and then he'd kind of pick his head up.
Give it back to you.
So you really want to hold on to it for the first couple, and then you'll have the right amount of rein if you do. But first jump, goes out there, smokes my hand off my rein, and I lose like all of it. And then I'm like flopping around with this much rein, get him rode, win second.
Dang.
And I know, like, such a nice horse, but one you're just not going to put together with 2 feet extra rein. And yeah, I was pretty butthurt about that.
Right.
I was sitting there in the back of the truck the whole way home, just shaking my head.
So he didn't help you.
He did help me because I said, all right, I'll hold on to it.
You did it without running your fingers through.
Yeah, that last day. And I lost all my rein.
So did it make you a believer in running your fingers through?
No, I just, from there on out, I was like, I'm going to be stubborn about this. If I clearly I can't hold on to my rein.
I see. Gotcha.
No, after that, I haven't done it since, actually.
See, I'm curious as to what my old man would have said about it. I don't know. I had never done it till after he had passed, and so anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things I tried. I never really paid attention to guys doing it, and then some of the guys around me started, and I was like, we're talking, it's kind of like that. You don't want no part of this, do we?
You don't want none of this, do we?
You don't want no part of this, do we? I think I'd like to try me some of that.
Just this once.
I really didn't like, when I first started, I did just my pinky, and I'd put the outside braid, and that was terrible. That hurt.
Well, because then when they get it, it like rips your pinky off. It's better to put that top finger in.
Oh, the top one?
Yeah, because then when it comes down, it's just pulling on all your fingers.
I've seen somebody do that before. I do my pinky through the middle 2, and then my ring finger through the one right next to it. The guy I traveled with the most would do bottom 2 fingers either through the very middle or that outside. I think it's the outside braid he did. But anyway,
if you watch Colt Gordon get on, he puts every single finger through something different. Yeah. I think he even gets his thumb in there. But he monkeys. He takes the suicide rap in the bronc ride. Yeah.
I've never though, like, most people say like, do you get it stuck in there? But I've never had it stuck. I mean, it just always comes out, you know?
It always seems to. I have nothing against running your fingers through your rein. I think, lots of guys give horses enough rein these days where it's not. But if you don't and you measure your rein wrong and you got your hand tied in there and you're getting drug over the front, that's a pretty terrible feeling,
That sucks. Right. Yeah, 100%.
I like being able to slip a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's one of those deals. I really think it's like, for the most part, if you know what you're doing, I would never tell somebody starting out just to do that. But like, if somebody asked about it, I would say it was kind of personal preference at the end of the day. Like, you could probably get away with either one. There's situations where it would help. There's situations where you shouldn't, you know? But
I think it may be a good tool to have in your old handbook if you need to do it on one. Like, let's say that horse I was talking about in that story.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one like that where it only takes it for 1 or 2 and then it comes up. I think it's helpful in situations like that. Because then, where they might have ripped it clean out of your hands, but now you got a chance to have the right rein measurement. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I don't think you need to do it on every single one.
Right.
But if you do, who cares?
Is there anything else that your dad was like, I don't want to say different, but like unique as far as teaching you that you've learned over the years watching everybody else?
I think growing up in Canada and Skeeter Thurston, Mel Highland, guys like that taught me, Colby, Zeke, and it was always drilled into us from the start to hold your feet for 2 jumps. And like I think a lot of other people or a lot of other people when they're starting up, it's like I'll figure out how to spur them out good later. But it's something that we were always taught from the start that I think's a little different. And I think the Canadians, like for the most part, spur out horses the best out of, or as good as you can. And it's not very pleasant to start out like that. I mean, we took a lot of diggings over it. Yeah. But once you figure it out, it sets up the ride perfectly, you know? And then it makes everything else easier. I think that would be one separate thing that Roddy had taught us. Yeah. And everyone up in Canada is just good spur outs from the start.
And it's kind of a smaller percentage of horses that it makes it treacherous as far as most horses, when you hold them for 2, it feels good. Yeah. But my old man, that was one thing. He was adamant about holding them for 2. You know, for the longest, I thought that's what you had to do to get your mark out. Like, I didn't realize that, like, it was just like that first jump. I thought you had to have them for 2. And then that was kind of something. I still try to hold them pretty good. I would say I missed my mark out less than some guys, but like I've been known to let them roll.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah. It's a tough thing. It's a work in progress too. I mean, you'll get good at it, and then like you may go for a month or so where your spur outs get a little weak.
100%. That's what I was about to say. It's like you'll get on a little roll, and then like you hold them up there less and less, and then all of a sudden you get 2 or 3 where they drop the flag on you. Yeah, it's a tough deal. Like holding your feet for 2 on some of them horses these days. Like, Wild Cherry, yesterday's delivery. That one I tried to hold my feet for 2 on at the NFR in 2019. Smoked my head off of his butt because I like that second jump. She jumps straight forward, and then it feels good to hold like her first jump. You're like, all right, I'll pack them for 2. Whack, right in the back. Broke my hat. Like I think I folded that. Yeah. Folded my hat in, and then I'm seeing stars the whole ride and fell off. There's a lot of judges that like give mad respect to those kind of markouts.
I think so, and I think more and more people are doing it now. Like I think there was a little stretch there for a few years where the markouts kind of got really bad. Yeah. And guys were getting away with not really spurring them out all year long. And then they're real tough on it at the NFR. Yeah. And they were throwing flags. I can't remember how many years ago that was, but they were throwing 4 flags a night. But I think it's got back to the point where everyone's trying to spur their horses out for 2 jumps again. And I think that's one of the things they always did in the bronc riding for as long as bronc riding's been. The old boys always had great 2-jump markouts, and I think it's an important thing in our sport.
I will say that like I'm adamantly against D'ing up the second jump. Like if I were going to pull them the first jump, it's because my intention is to after the first jump, it's because my intention was to spur after that. But
yeah, that's a sucky feeling right off the bat when that horse finally sets up and you're in the D's. Yeah. Get sat up a little bit, and then you're starting from behind. Right. The best part about a perfect spur out is it sets you up to beat that sucker the first jump. Like usually my fastest jump, my best jump is that first one after a spur out. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get too far into the Rodeo Time podcast, talking about bronc riding, talking about rodeo, all things Dawson Hay, you've also got to check out, what are you guys calling the podcast?
We got it called All In Conversation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because y'all kind of play a little poker or something. Do you play?
I've just been on the last couple, but we're just trying to figure it out right now, and we mostly just like conversations, talking about rodeo, talking about bucking horses, all events, and a few other fun things in there.
Well, it's you also had a pretty cool like segment where you guys like break down different things. Like you're kind of like a reaction type ridiculousness type deal.
Yeah, we're gonna have a segment coming up in our future ones where we kind of commentate, look over a couple, either rodeo wrecks or other sport wrecks, and just try and go into. We actually watched a video of Gordon Ramsay compete at a rodeo.
Dang.
It was an African mud rodeo thing, but it's pretty funny. It's amazing what you'll find on the internet.
It would be neat to see those things, but it would be more neat to see like how Clayton Sellers responds to that.
Oh,
Isn't it? It's you, Sellers, and
Lefty, and we'll have it all on there.
Guests every now and then.
Yeah.
See, that's what's
Hopefully
pretty
you
good.
guys
It's
hear
like
soon.
you guys could do like you don't have to have a guest every time, because you guys are interesting enough. Like, you're all like professional rodeo athletes who have all been to the NFR, but you're also like pretty interesting guys. So,
except for maybe Lefty. I'm just kidding. I love that guy.
I love y'all's social media. Like, if Lefty Holman was a camper, and it's a picture of
Lefty Holman was a saddle. Yeah,
If
no,
Lefty
we've kind of got a
Holman was
little
a
battle going on.
yeah,
Did you see Clayton's the other day?
a picture of me.
Yeah, if Lefty Holman was a cowboy.
If Lefty,
I had one last night. If Lefty Holman was a tattoo, and this lady had a huge sandwich tattoo.
that's
on her arm.
hilarious. Yeah, it makes no sense, and because it makes no sense, it makes sense. Yeah.
That's the best part.
So check out Dawson Hay, Clayton Sellers, Lefty Holman. They got a cool podcast coming your way. Yeah, how many episodes have y'all done?
All in conversations. I think we're on episode 5 now.
You never know where it'll go, man.
No, we're just trying to get it rolling. It's a learning process with all this stuff, but we got good cameras, good setup, good audio now, and I think it's going to be a real fun.
And
podcast.
you guys are all like at the beginning of your careers for the like you're on the beginning stages, and the other thing is just like where to go after. Like you said,
absolutely.
Your dad being 42, like it's kind of a rarity for a guy to be rodeoing for a living at that age, which is pretty young to retire.
It's a young man's sport.
Right. And so if you guys have set up for 10 years or so this, alternative way to, essentially make a living, dare I say it?
No, it's I hope I'm doing more than just podcasts when I get done, but no, it's something that could be fun for a long time, and I enjoy listening to your guys' podcasts and a lot of other guys' podcasts. I like the video aspect of it too, where you get to watch everyone's kind of their reactions, and it instead of just listening to it plugged in on your phone, getting to watch the. I think it helps out a lot too, because a lot of rodeo fans all they really see in the athletes are what they see on the Cowboy Channel, right? Just in and out of the arena. You get to know the Cowboys. You get to know the guys behind the scene.
Yeah, and you guys are from both ends of the continent. You got a Florida bull rider and a Canadian bronc rider. So the sport stretches that far.
And a California bronc rider.
Yeah.
It's like a big
All
triangle.
It's like a triangle.
It's
Those
a
are
triangle.
corners.
That's corners. Yeah. So check out their podcast, All In Conversations, as well as their social media. And now on to our podcast where we talk about all things bronc riding. And then there's nothing more heartbreaking than watching somebody who can ride any horse in the pen but has been struggling with the markout.
Yeah, absolutely. There's guys that would be at the NFR if they could mark their horses out good. Yeah, no, that is a hard thing, and that's why
they are at the NFR, and they have a good and have a hard time.
That sucks.
That's heartbreaking to me. Like watching guys, it's like, man, you're already there. Just you can obviously ride them, but.
Well, and I think it can be a little more relaxed during the years. A lot of rodeos you'll see, like, dang, they're just letting them go today. Like, everyone's missing them out, and they're not throwing flags. Then there's other rodeos where they're throwing flags left and right, and guys are getting them marked out. But it's Yeah, it is. Like you said, it's heartbreaking to watch guys that can ride so good, and you know when you missed one out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone would say like you feel them come.
Yeah.
The rest of the ride, you're sitting there like, dang, I can't wait to hear this zero for missing them out. Lots of times you see them throw the flags.
Right.
You know, right?
Which I feel like is messed up.
I know.
I don't know why they do that.
Bright yellow flags. Like let's get a brown flag so at least you can.
Or maybe wait till I'm out of sight.
Yeah.
You know, like just in case the back judge gives you a free roll.
Yeah.
Like, why you got to throw it like in my line of sight?
Some of them guys will throw them like, hey, you see that? In front of your horse.
Right. Like they're mad at you. You know, like.
Get that into you.
Yeah. Hey, it's what you get for hitting on my wife. Like, dude, I don't even know you.
I'm not even watching the rest of this ride.
Right. That's what I feel like. I don't understand. Like, is there a purpose, though, for them throwing it under your horse?
I don't know. I think some guys just like to let you know right off the bat. And then there's some judges, sometimes you'll see them throw the flag and then you get a free roll and they're like, still not marking them.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll be like 70. You think you made a nice ride and you're like 75. And that wasn't a good spur out, I guess.
There's got to be a reason. You know, they go to them seminars, those judges' seminars. There's got to be a reason they throw it towards the bronc rider, like under his line of sight. I don't know.
I know it's kind of frowned upon for them to throw them really late. I know.
Yeah.
I think they need to throw it as soon as they see it.
Yeah.
Like they're required to do that. It's kind of a kick in the butt as well when they wait till like the end of the ride and then throw it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. A guy should just spur his horses out, I guess.
Yeah. Hold them for 2 and remove all doubt.
Yeah.
But there's some horses that are a little harder.
That's for dang sure. Get Smart yesterday watching Ben on that horse.
Uh-huh.
That's got to be one of the hardest horses to spur out.
Yeah.
I would say above Wild Cherry.
Right.
Yeah, that thing. And then if you do get him spurred out, then it's really go time. But you need to get that horse spurred out to stay on. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone miss him out and then stay on.
Dang.
Like they threw a flag on Ben last night. I didn't get to quite see how good his mark out was, but like if you don't get a good seat on that sucker and get him spurred out, she'll make you eat it.
We talked about yesterday spurring out spring planting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been there.
No, I have. I got to get on him one time at Tree Mountain's Extreme Broncs. That horse is a handful.
Yeah.
And sometimes he don't even look it too much, but
right.
What an awesome horse. My dad had been on that horse a couple times, and I was super excited to draw him. But, yeah, that'll be one of the all-time greats for sure.
And I think there's 2 of them. Maybe Powder River is the one that's hard to mark out, but Miss Congeniality?
Yeah, that sucker had big rare out of there, hit, and just a huge horse, too.
Right.
You know, them bigger ones, they're harder to spur out because you got to get around there, especially with little legs. It's like doing the splits on one like that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, getting over those huge shoulders.
Mm-hmm. I find it harder than ones like that to spur out or them ones that leave and kind of drop a shoulder.
Uh-huh.
They leave and hit on that wrong lead, and then them are the hardest ones because, I mean, it's like there's nothing to get your spur into.
Right.
That's where it'd help to have, I think, a little longer leg.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have the best bronc rider build. I got a long body and these little stubby legs, and I drag the bottoms off of 32s.
What kind of shank do you have?
Just a 1-inch shank. Maybe 1 1/4, a little over an inch.
Yeah.
I just got my first pair of new spurs this year, and I'd just worn an old set of my dad's spurs, and the rowels. I don't even think the rowels touched the horse. They're all worn out, but I just had measured them ones. They're like 30 years old. He hadn't worn them since he was starting, and then I got a new set, and I think they're about an inch, maybe 1.25 inches.
I know, like the longer, you reach up there, and it's just like you just stick them up there, and they get the mark out for you almost.
Yeah. I know longer-legged guys seem to ride a little shorter shank, it seems like.
Mine are teeny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you get them hung up if you got get around that corner, and then they're stuck up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've tried a longer shank too for a couple rodeos, and I sent a picture to Jacobs, and he responded back, "I too like to live dangerously." But
that's funny. But no, I never have tried a longer shank.
Yeah,
like up to, because they'll make them up to like 1.5 inches, 1.75 shank. But I just didn't really want to change it up too much. I know Clay Elliott, if you remember watching him ride, how hard he'd set his feet.
Oh man,
he just had these little baby ass spurs, like just tiny, and he would dang sure get a hold of them. So I don't think you need a huge shank to get a hold of them.
I've Snapchatted a guy for like 2 years, thinking it was Clay Elliott.
Oh, no
and then like the other day found out it wasn't.
It
was a
wasn't
different.
Clay.
I mean, his name was Clay Elliott, and his emoji had a cowboy hat on.
Yeah.
And then another recommended Clay Elliott popped up. Like, you have mutual friends with Clay Elliott, and I was like, and I Snapchatted that one. I was like, "Did you get a new Snapchat?" He was like, "No." I was like, I asked the other guy. He was like, "Yeah, I'm a fireman in Lubbock. I don't even know. I just thought you Snapchatted me."
This guy's hanging out. He's just like, "Yeah, Dale Brisby Snapchatted me again."
Sorry. Yeah. Because like he would be around horses and stuff, and I was like, anyway.
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
He was like, because I'll Snapchat guys like just little stuff I don't put on my story, you know. But no, speaking of Clay Elliott, I can vaguely remember, but he seemed to have like a really cool practice horse or something that was in like a round pen. Maybe it was like an old saddle horse. Is that common knowledge, or
I can't quite remember. I
had this. Anyway, he had. I saw like, and they were kind of trotting him around in a practice pen, and he'd kind of, because we had my old man found a horse that came through like a killer pen, and he just kind of, he looked like he'd had a saddle on before, and so we tried him, and sure enough, he had, was broke, and we called him Steve, and he was a Palomino horse, and sure enough, he was in the killer pen because every now and then he'd buck, but he couldn't kick over a Coke can, and so I'd get on him in the round pen just with the bronc saddle all the time.
Just kind of hawk the back cinch into him, and he'd hop around there.
Exactly.
My dad had a horse like that, he said, when he started, and they'd spur the heck out of him. And I think a lot of guys still do that, It's nice to have especially when you're starting a horse that you could just go set. You do it all by yourself.
Yeah, 100%. You don't need a lot of help.
No. Yeah. That's a good thing to have.
Finding the right practice horse, it's like a whole nother.
That's crucial, I think, and something we've been teaching or that we really strive for in our schools is to have, really good, a horse for everyone's level, because I think it takes the wind out of a lot of young bronc riders' sails when they've got these things bred up to be, next maybe world champion horse, and they're colts, and you don't really know what to go for rein on a lot of them, I think, and a lot of kids, they're out there and they're like, if I can't ride one of these are the best horses around, like maybe I'm not cut out for this a little bit. And falling off you get on 15 horses and you only stay on for 1 second a piece.
Yep.
You're really not learning a whole lot. So I think in something that we've been trying to strive for in our schools is getting a lot of horses for everyone's level. So if you can't barely stay on a saddle horse, how are you going to expect to ride something that bucks that hard? So and then getting your confidence. You get one road, get to the next level, get on a horse that's a little bit better, and then by the end of the weekend you might be getting on something that actually does buck a little bit, and you leave there with your chest poked out.
Right.
Probably got a cool spur out picture.
Yeah.
And but I think that's really important for starting out as good practice horses.
I went to a school a long time ago. I won't say which one or anything, but it was the same deal, and it was like one of the first couple of times they had the school, and a lot of the instructors had not taught a lot of schools, which is neither here nor there, except for the fact that these stock contractors, it was like 3 stock contractors just bringing a pen of colts, like you said, and they're putting guys on these horses that are going to go on to be just possibly even E-pen type horses.
Yeah.
And at the end of the school, And that's fine. If that's all you can come up with for a school, that's fine, so long as you know it and the students know it. But at the end of school, they're just like, hey, we need to thank you guys thank these stock contractors, and they're just like hammered into it. And I'm just like, man, these guys are never going to get on again. Like they're done because these horses were like, yeah, it's great if you got some NFR guys getting on them, but, and that's one thing I've always been adamant about. Like I would love to do a school, but the only way I would is if I had like 12 dinks that didn't run off.
Yeah, it's really important to get a set of horses too that don't cover a lot of ground. Like it don't matter if they don't buck at all, but it's almost way better off to get on one that goes out there and gets it on than one that's just trailing off and kind of not really bucking, because slide off, hang your stirrups, and get stomped on at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's not fun.
It's hard
for
to get
anybody.
your stirrups off. But yeah, it's a work in progress over there. I got a couple more practice horses sent up there this week actually.
Nice.
And Lefty and George Veeder, they have a great pen of beginner horses and some horses, that are at a level that, could maybe even be at a few rodeos and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I got to go get 2 more when we get back, and potentially a 5th one. But anyway, so one slow and one old. But
yeah, them old retired horses that's a lot of what we have out there is just stuff that got get 18, 19 years old and just get too weak to be at the rodeos anymore. And I think them are the best ones. What
a good life as a horse.
Yeah.
They don't have to travel. They get fed good. And when they're when they're healthy, like, bucking them really doesn't hurt them at all.
They'll go for another 7 years.
Yeah.
And it don't bother them none.
Right.
They just get all fat and lazy and don't have to buck that hard anymore.
Right. 100%.
Get grained all the time.
One thing we talked about, not trying to just make it a replicated podcast but just curious where you stand on it. I mean, we are at the damn NFR, for heaven's sake. We talked about like fighting weight and getting in shape. That anything that you've really concentrated on throughout your career?
No, not really. I like to ride the bubble around 135, 140.
Nice.
I'll get up to 140, 43 maybe once the rodeo slows up, but then I fight to keep weight on while I'm rodeoing.
Really?
Yeah. I get all shriveled up.
Yeah. So as far as like
Vegas here,
workouts, it's like more just getting on broncs.
I've never been a guy that's went to the gym a whole lot.
Yeah.
I find that I'm in the best riding shape when I'm just getting on all the time.
Yeah.
I think it works well for other people, I'm sure. I've just never really been that way. I like to stay light, and I know that like going to the gym isn't going to help me get to be like riding as fast as I need to be. It's getting on every day. Like usually takes me till like a little after San Antonio before I feel like I'm back in riding shape, and that's when and then over the 4th of July, like that's when I'm usually riding the best I am all year, and it's because I'm getting on every single day.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I haven't spent a whole lot of time in the gym. I like to be active and get out and just keep myself in shape that way. But
yeah, I've always been like, I enjoy working out, and I always have, like ever since probably 8th grade football. Like I enjoy, and I'm the kind of guy just like I would, if I didn't do anything, like I wouldn't just stay skinny. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like I would probably put on a little bit of weight, and if I just wasn't paying attention to it, I think I go fast enough in my day to day that I wouldn't get overweight really, but I just wouldn't be any sort of fighting weight. And so like I kind of feel like I gotta do something to stay fighting weight. But on the other hand, like I've never felt like at all it was any sort of substitution for getting on. Like if you had to choose between practice and working out, like getting on a horse, there's just no substitution for it.
No, I don't think so either. and like you said, a lot of guys do struggle with, like if they're not working out, going to the gym and stuff, we'll sit there and pack on some weight.
Yeah.
For some reason, like I can do about whatever I want, and I never really.
Yeah.
I have a harder time keeping weight on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sterling Crawley is like that. He's just a string bean. Like he's so skinny, and he's always been like. But
I'm pretty sure Leighton Green has a tapeworm. He eats like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
And I doubt he weighs much more than 145 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with it. What do you weigh, Donnie?
Oh, probably like a little less than 160 right now.
Yeah.
I feel overweight for a bronc rider now, I guess, listening to these guys.
I feel like right now I'm probably at least 165, maybe 168 where I'm at.
I think there's a healthy weight to be at, but I'm at the same time there's guys that ride better at that weight, whatever weight they're
it's
at.
It's really your body build, I think, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. You ever tried any other event?
I rode bulls through high school. Well, I rode steers till I was 14, 15, and then started riding bulls. And then once I turned 16, I started riding broncs and bulls. And then I rode bulls in the amateur rodeos and through high school till I was about 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to be a bull rider. I'm not gonna lie. That was my goal. I was like, I'm gonna be a bull rider. And then I started getting on broncs and started really enjoying it. And it seemed like I was getting better at bronc riding and worse at bull riding.
Dang.
I don't know. The year before I made the amateur finals the year before I quit, I believe. And then the next year I couldn't stay on anything. And then I was winning in the bronc riding, and I was getting more nervous getting on bulls than I was ever before. And I was like, geez, I just kind of lost the itch for it a little bit. And I still try my hand at it every now and then.
Yeah.
I got on one last year.
Oh, dang. That recent. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on one about every year since I quit, but just haven't completely quit.
Right.
I'd really like to try it a few more times.
Yeah.
And I've watching it and being around the pros for the last few years I've picked up on a lot of things, and I'd like to try my hand in it maybe a few more times to see if I just want to get one rode at a rodeo.
Yeah.
It'd be so cool. I think go to a littler rodeo, see it got a nice one drawn, and see if I could get one rode.
Seems very attainable.
Well, I've been on enough. I think I could probably, get it figured to where I could. I'm not going to strive to ride them bulls that are out around here.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't even get on them if I drew one at the rodeo. But I think it would be a cool thing to try one more time.
Yeah. Where do you go in the chute?
What's that?
Where do you go in the chute mentally? Because I was just thinking about. I mean, it'd probably be the same for a bull ride, just like the level of fight and how you.
Where do
turn
I
on
go
the fight?
In the
Yeah, mentally. Where do you do you have to do you pretty calm guy, or do you?
I kind of I get into a little state of mind as soon as my horse runs in, and I kind of black everything out. My nerves are usually out by the time that horse rolls in. My nerves are gone. I'm not really thinking about everything that I've planned on doing before that is already set in. So for me, I ride the best when I'm just loose and cool, not worrying about too much. And just trying to stay focused on not overthinking it. So when I'm in the chutes, I hardly remember being in the chutes, which is weird. Like once I get over there and I got my rein, I kind of black out. I mean, you remember certain jumps of the ride, it's feeling good, and certain things about the ride, but until I get back to the chutes, I kind of just disappear.
Yeah, that's neat. Donnie, you got any questions?
Yeah, who are you traveling with?
Me, Zeke, and Jake Watson.
Yeah.
We got quite the crew, and it works good. We're all up there from Canada, and we get to run back and forth together. It works out good. I was lucky enough to jump in with them guys on not my rookie year, but the year after, and I learned so much traveling with them too. Zeke, he don't care about a whole lot. It's, and there's no excuses in that rig.
Yeah.
It's you fall off or you're 80 points, you're not going to get a pat on the back.
Yeah.
And I don't give, Zeke or Jake a pat on the back when they do it, and we know it. And but no, we have a whole lot of fun together, and I've learned so much from them guys. I wouldn't be the bronc rider I am today without traveling with some good guys like that. And Zeke, he's having a heck of a finals. He's so consistent. That's one thing I strive to be like. Watching him, the guy doesn't seem to miss a beat. He won't get on but 2 practice horses before the finals and show up and ride just as good as he did at the 4th of July. It's crazy. He's a stubborn bugger, but he's a dang good bronc rider. And Jake Watson as well. That guy, I don't think anyone spurs him out harder than Jake Watson.
Really?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Take some diggers for it.
Man, and that's you're right. Like now that you mention it, like you think about guys having a good mark out, and when you mentioned like a lot of those guys being Canadians, like that's so true.
Yeah, it's just watching them guys even just before I was really going, watching Clay Elliott, Zeke Thurston, Jake Watson, Leighton, all them guys, and then all our dads, the way they did it. It was like that's something I want to do. Even if I don't become a bronc rider, I want to dang sure spur them out good.
Right.
I've asked Clayton about this before. We made a little video about the backflips that you guys do everywhere. You got anything?
Yeah, we had a deal at the start of the year where I don't know where it started. I guess Clayton's did a backflip on something, and then I was like, I can do backflips. And then I went and jumped and did one, and then it was like, for that weekend, we probably did 30 backflips a piece, and then it was just everywhere. We had to do a backflip on something. But then we landed on our face a couple times, and they slowed up a little bit.
They slowed up a little.
I don't think I want to do that no more.
I don't want to have to turn out of a rodeo because I landed on my face doing a backflip. But I'd actually say I slowed up more than he did. But
I could see that.
We still try our hand at it every now and then. But it was supposed to go on throughout the whole year. But once rodeo got busy, didn't see each other as much. The winter rodeos is where it took off because we were at the same place all winter. Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio. I guess not them last year, but the American and whatnot. And we have an annual snowboarding trip up in Colorado. We've been 4 times now, and then the backflips really come out over there.
I seen you do one off a balcony. I was like, oh my God. I was like, golly.
30 feet up.
Into the snow.
Yeah, into the snow. I knew it was probably pretty soft.
You figured.
I knew it was,
or at least
it's just all the snow they'd pushed off that balcony.
Yeah.
I guess I probably should have walked through it first.
So,
I knew either way Clayton was coming in right after me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I made a video for, rock and roll out of all those, and I was like, I had never met you before that, and I was like, this guy's got to be, crazy all the time. And I met you at that bronc school, and I was like, well, maybe he's not as wound up. Maybe he's being a little more professional with the kids and stuff. But
me and Clayton are bad influences on each other when it comes to stuff like that.
I can imagine.
I feel like too, there's just being a rough stock rodeo cowboy. There's got to be that little bit of especially. I mean, I could see you already know kind of how to do a backflip, and so.
You got to test
It's almost
each other.
like nodding for a bronc, all right, I'm going to do this off of that thing. There's that little bit of just adrenaline junkie type kick in.
For sure. I think that's the reason we're probably in the events we are and we are who we are today is because, I've always been, whether aside from bronc riding, it's trying to do something crazy. It's something I've always craved,
Yeah.
Whether it's snowboarding or dirt biking or riding broncs or still trying to get on a bull every now and then.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
But
we wrap up each one with a life advice kind of thing.
Life advice. Trying to take life advice from me. Let me see.
Or maybe just something your dad told you, something you've heard, or even just a kind of a paragraph. Doesn't have to be necessarily a quote, but
I'm just thinking, in this sport and in all sports, I mean, you can never truly feel like you're at the best of your ability. I know, especially with bronc riding, I've never been able to say I made the perfect ride. It's taken something from each ride and trying to get better, and you're never gonna be where you possibly could be.
Yeah.
You can always be better.
Right. Yeah.
Not get comfortable.
I would say an apple a day keeps everyone away if you throw it hard enough.
I should have went with that one.
What you got, Donnie?
When in doubt, let it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That worked good for you.
Yeah, that first day was a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be too tight.
No. Is that it?
Yeah.
You roll the outro music?
Sure.